Okay, looks like we are live on Zoom now to pick us up on YouTube. There we go. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to New Light Streaming Love. Today is Monday, January the 6th, 2025. Okay, so wow, if you weren't present last night, you missed out. What a wonderful gathering. It was so much fun. I really shout out to everyone who attended the live intuitive session that we had last night. I'm so grateful to all who came and participated. Um, it really means a lot to me that you guys show up for those because that's how, at this point, it's the absolute best way for me to practice hearing my ability, my inner voice, that higher, more expanded portion of me. And already this morning, I've had several instances of that telepathy that we talked about last night. And I've also been made aware, I'm just now seeing this again too, that one of the viewers from last night, Vanessa, if you hear this today, or if you enter live in just a little bit, I will ask you again. But um, I think it was you mentioned that you had a dream about me, something about healing. Well, it's very interesting to me because apparently both myself and my housemate are extremely busy in the nighttime hours. I'm not quite sure exactly what it is that we're doing. Um, but I've had reports that both of us have been seen now, experienced, felt in different beings' dreams of late. So I don't know. I just find that quite interesting for myself. Um, okay. Did I give today's date? January 6th, 2025, Monday. Um, I cannot tell you for my money what the uh, most important thing for all of us to do at this juncture is to really hone this listening to self, to the higher, more expanded self, to begin a practice of questioning self and getting those answers. Um, I feel, and I will say again, everyone in different ways and different language, all saying the same thing, in my opinion, are saying that this year is going to be, a lot of information coming out, a lot of disclosure happening. I've even heard folks speaking on, like really big stuff. And so for me, that's where having that rapport with self is really important. It goes to internal discernment for self, um, because, like I said, oh wow, that's interesting. We just had this fella. Good morning, Quinn J. I'm so glad you were able to join. We had this fella, I believe it was just yesterday. So very interesting that he come screaming out of the deck. Oh wow. And then this guy, I just went to start uh shuffling again. And this guy came out too. So and see if, wow. It's really interesting because we've been having sort of dichotomy, right? Okay. So also what I'm getting is it's important. Uh, Maybe this is just for me. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to share it anyway. It's really important to get in here into oneself, trust the inner voice for the discernment purposes, because there's going to be a lot of that, those kinds of things that come out on both, I want to say all sides of everything. Not all of it is going to be so, right? A lot of it, in my view, in my feel, will be to distract, to put folks into fear. Because once a being is in fear of something, they are much easier to control. Um, so I think it's really important that we, everyone who's interested in, making it through these next portions of our lives, trust self and what can come through. And that's why I say I'm so very appreciative of everyone that comes out to those intuitive hangout sessions like the one I had last night, because that actually helps me hear me. You guys are helping me, and I'm so appreciative of that. Honestly, every reading I've ever done for anyone I know is there's something for me and there's something for the person that I'm reading, right? And all of it helps me, which is another reason why, for me personally, and I want to say this too, because there are readers who have been saying for the last little while now that there are folks that are cloning their accounts and reaching out to people and saying they have information for them, and all you have to do is pay XYZ. Well, I doubt that anyone would ever try that with me, because I've made it very clear that there's no money exchanging hands for anything that I would ever participate in, me personally. Now, yes, my teammate Crystal has a lot of things, up for sale on the New Light Streaming Love platform, as she creates physical, metaphysical art. And she also does light language channelings for folks using their picture, things like that. She is a much, much younger than me, and she's a single mom. So, because we're still playing that money game, there has to be, she has to be able to make her way. She's, like I said, she's actually younger than my child. So, I would love it if folks want to support her. Go to knewlightstreaminglove on the internet and take a look around at the Journey into It offerings there. She's created all manner of things. There are a couple of classes that she has available through Udemy. She has, like I said, the physical art, the channeled jewelry pieces that she makes. She has the t-shirts with some of her light language. There's just something for everyone there. Um, but that's one thing you can be rest assured, that Sheila will never, ever, ever contact you for any reason offering any sort of readings. That's not how this works here. I either do it free as an intuitive hangout session, or if someone feels to contact me directly for a reading, any and all readings are done solely on a love offering or a no love offering basis, because there's always something in it for me. And because I am disabled and currently on disability, luckily my needs are met. Not all of my desires, of course, but my needs are met. And so, and I know with all of me that the universe will provide for what I need. A way will always be made. Oh, wow. And we just had this card in the last week as well, I believe it was. I surge on the uprising of love. And that's a five, which is all about change. So, no, not this one, I was told. Not that one, this one. Okay, so this is, oh yeah, I was going to say this is the Morning Mojo energy read and coffee chat, although I've been up since 5:30, so I've had quite enough of coffee. So we're on to our daily water intake at this point. Okay, so we want a jumper from this deck, please. Ooh, okay, there we have it. That's the one. Water, ocean, earth. Lisa and I saw a video. It's probably been about 5 years ago now. And I lost my link to it because of Conscious Conversation Central being taken down. It was a video that talked about the idea of it involved concentric circles. It involved um, there was a very definite definition of ascension that involved concentric circles. It involved I don't know, there was something to it, and unfortunately, I have not been able to find that video. I know that back in the day on Conscious Conversation Central, I had a conversation with a young man by the name of Elon Maggi, I think his name was. He also went by Hermes Trismegistus. We had one conversation, and he was a part of that video because he has a very distinct voice. But he did that video with someone else. They didn't show his picture, but I knew that it was his voice. And so if you happen to see this video or know of the video that I'm speaking on, please do send it to me. Send me a link to it. I have looked high and low and I cannot seem to find it. There was something about that video that is calling my attention with this card. And there was something about that video that, and I'm not quite sure exactly what it is. You see, I'm being a puzzle piece collector. When I am exposed to something that pings me, it's not the entire thing. It could be just a piece of what this concept or idea was. Because again, my operating assumption at the moment is that we are all channeling larger portions of ourselves, whether we think we are or not. That's a true statement for me. And we get interpretations. We interpret the information we get, not always correctly, or at least that's what happened with me. I've told that story many times now. It's not always the exact way my guidance would have me understand it. And when that happened for me, I think it was specifically so that I would get that message that because that's how I now see it, that we all have information coming in. It comes in, it goes through our experiential filters. An experiential filter is something that is an an accumulation of all the experiences you've ever had on this planet form the filter that this information comes through and forms the basis of how we think and perceive information, concepts, ideas. Due to that fact, and that experiential filter, of course, is also contains all of the programming and conditioning that we've had from the time we were born. Now, since I'm 63 and I've very clearly seen for myself that an awful lot of what I've been told, learned, shown, all those kinds of things in my physical, temporal, if you will, life through that experiential filter, I now feel with all of me that nothing is what it seems. There's a more expanded, it doesn't mean it's wrong. It means the information isn't complete and may be being viewed through a particular perspective. So for me, remaining open to being shown where I've got the wrong information or not the correct information. This is why puzzle pieces will ping, but they're not exact, right? The other thing for me is that it's really important for me to keep in mind that because of that fact, because nothing is as it seems, because we've been programmed and conditioned to believe certain things, which aren't the full or whole story, it's all about what I was saying earlier about dichotomy. Being able to hold what may seem to myself and others as contradictory information or paradox in some cases, becoming comfortable with that actually assists me in seeing things in multiple levels or multidimensionally, if you will. And I really do feel like that is what we are being called to do this particular year, is to be open to being shown things in ways that we've never, ever, ever considered before, and becoming comfortable with dichotomy, paradox, and our multidimensionality. Because let's face it, if we are actually all one and yet singular, and the only thing that actually separates us is the entire time that we've spent in these vessels and the experiences had while in these vessels, then it's really important, at least to me, to keep myself open to being shown new information so that I don't immediately poo-poo anything. Doesn't matter what it is, anything. Now, there are some things that as I receive them, I'm like, not so much. Especially when someone hits you with the I know this for a fact thing and everything else is wrong. That is the biggest sign for me to run the other way. So this one wanted to go first. Water, ocean, earth. It's time to give your ancestral line a reboot. Rewrite your family story. Reroute the ripples your ancestors created. And then here's something in italics. Am I allowed to do that, you ask? Of course you are. You are a reality creator. That's why you came here. Remember, you not only have the ability to shift the narratives that are running through your bloodline, you have a responsibility to do so. Embark upon this task with love and respect, of course, while honoring the stories that got you here. But for God's sake, don't keep recreating the same old if it's not serving your highest joy. Take it upon yourself to transmute and transform anything that is hindering your growth and happiness. That includes your ancestral narratives. It's time to let go of the past and to craft new stories that will allow you to realize your greatness and to inspire others to do the same. Wow, that's really interesting. Um, for me personally, on several levels, um, I am what you would call, what many would call, bloodline. Uh, being related to Harry S. Truman and knowing that all presidents, bar, I believe, one or two, have all been bloodline, what is considered maybe not so nice when you think about it. um, However, I've heard a lot of folks talk about, healing ancestral karma, and in different ways, of course. And I've been shown through a couple of BQH sessions that I've had, and some other things that have been channeled where I'm concerned. And I always felt like I had a hand in some way of setting up this game that we are currently closing down, the game of domination and control. And that was reinforced for me when I read the Jeshua channelings, which again you can listen to for yourself here on the channel. I actually got permission to record that book in its entirety, and you can find it in the playlist here on this channel, as well as over on Sassy Seer Sheila. At least I think it's there. I'll have to go back and check that. But I know it's here on New Light Streaming Love. So in the Jeshua channelings, Jeshua absolutely said that all starseeds that are here who call themselves light workers need to really understand that part of the reason all of these light workers want to help humanity right itself is because we were the ones that set all this up. We were the ones who way back then tinkered with what was going on here on the planet instead of allowing the indigenous human beings to develop on their own. So, and I always kind of felt that. So when I read that, boy, did it make a lot of sense. Moving from an ego-based consciousness to a heart-based consciousness, all light workers have this desire to help, mistakenly thinking that we need to help somebody else, when in truth, what we need to do, in my opinion, is get our trauma straight, fix self, because then you make it easier for the next guy. Because nobody really knows what you came here to experience or what you came here to do. Only you, only your higher portion of you actually knows the truth of that. So, not everybody came here to experience the same thing. I mean, how boring would that be? That's the whole idea of everybody being unique. Now, again, I think that G. Habya is showing himself again today just to reiterate what I said before about how there's an awful lot getting ready to come down the pike. Not all of it real, not all of it true. Some, yes, but a lot of fear-based things, right? The key words for this card are imaginary fears, unreal hazards, realistic caution. He refuses to tell me what the G in his name stands for because he says the more we know about him, the less power he has, and the harder it is to do his job. This tells you a lot about him. His powers lie in our imaginations and fears, not in the real world, not in any of the real worlds. This is the wicked thing in the closet who keeps frightened children awake at night with their eerie snuffling, wuffling sounds. But when you turn on the light and open the door, he isn't there. Brian wrote, he exists only through the collection of our fears. And you see, I'm convinced that there are those who make it out that the ubiquitous they are way more powerful than I think they actually are. Because it only makes sense to me that if you can make folks believe that you hold all this power over them and keep you fearful of them, well, that just creates a larger mystique and more powerful the driving home of said fear. The Habya thrives on fears, getting stronger and stronger until we face him. He is a sham, a tiny fear blown all out of proportion, and the smallest positive thought will banish him. All of fairyland knows this, and none is afraid of him. Jihabya's job is to wave our imaginary fears in front of us, making them look as alive and as real as he can. He's pretty good at this. The challenge he offers us is to see that certain fears of ours are imaginary and to distinguish them from things we actually need to be cautious about. In this way, he tries to teach us to look past the fear and see the realio trulio truth, whatever that truth is. It is a difficult job, and Jihabya, along with the Pook, Gotcha, and the Feline, and a few other hard-working fairies, get together twice a week for otherworld nectar, hazelnuts, cheese, and applesauce, and to grumble about humans while supporting each other. The work they do, hard as it is merely an apprenticeship for the much harder work, which they get to wear a starry crown, like Epona's wild daughter and Lise of the Shadows. Lise of the Shadows we also had last week. It takes a lot of practice and skill in dealing with human flaws to get promoted to that level. If you could hear the stories they tell. It is time to look for the truth behind our fears, to distinguish between what is real and what is just our protection of old traumas and fears into our imaginary future, which is exactly why I was saying before this card even came out, that it's real important to develop your own internal voice so that you, the higher, more expanded portion of you, which we all have, will inform you as to whether or not this is something you need to be concerned about. Because I truly feel like it is our discernment that we ought to be turning to, not anything outside of us anymore, because honestly, it's too easy to fake things at this point between AI, between misinformation, disinformation, deep fakes, all kinds of stuff, right? I don't trust anything that's not in my field at this point right now. Oh, absolutely nothing that I see or hear anywhere will I absolutely just lock, stock, and barrel fall in line and believe. I've seen too much, you know. By delving into our old patterns, we can see past them to a more liberating life. Only by facing these fears honestly and seeing them for what they are do we gain greater ability to open our hearts to the singer of courage and gain in strength to face the really difficult challenges in our lives. Each false fear confronted and resolved makes us much stronger. And I feel that's true as well, actually. Part of the deal is that for me, by moving into fear, by taking something that frightens me and then moving over into full blown fear of it, is actually giving that thing, whatever it is, permission to continue to terrorize me. I had that experience. I've shared that many times. And so by recognizing that it's a fearful thing that's trying to put you in fear, and by asking self questions, what do I need to know about this? I really truly feel that's the way forward, especially in these moments of now. Now, the next card that came out from the fairy deck was the Journeyman. And this card is, again, a bit of dichotomy for me because this is the Fool. That's very, I associate it with the Fool card. It's all about new beginnings to me. It actually really kind of looks like that. So, the Journeyman, the key words for this card are adventure, independence, polishing of skills, and travel. All of the great ones, the saints, the bodhisattvas, and all of those who are filled by the spiritual light have been on this journey. They went into the wilderness, stepping like fools off of the safe paths into the waiting hands of their gods and goddesses. This is the journey of life, a pilgrimage that begins in ignorant trust, passes through all of the doubts, fears, ups and downs, probably all of the delusions, and certainly all of the confusions. Through it, we learn slowly, painfully, a new kind of trust, a trust in the process detached from the goal. Our young Oginus journeyman, bless him, is stepping out on the journey of life, positively glowing with enthusiasm. His apprenticeship in the fairy crafts and magics, uh, yep, but wait a minute, no, I skipped something. Even his toes sparkle bright, handsome, and educated. He has completed his apprenticeship in fairy crafts and magics, but he has not yet achieved true mastery of his trade. To accomplish this, he must leave the protection of his master and step out onto his path as an independent journeyman craftsman. He is testing himself and his knowledge in the world. He hopes to eventually achieve the status of master maker. Right now, he knows a lot of facts, has all the basic skills, but probably knows less than he thinks he does, which I feel it's really the state of things on planet Earth for all of us. And that's why I like to say to keep an open mind and collect those puzzle pieces. He is about to learn about the skills of survival, bartering, persuading, selling, buying wisely, enjoying life, making friends. At least he doesn't need to learn how to iron his own shirts. Oginus still has lovely, playful, childlike qualities. An Oracle Online group member notes that Oginus is playing balance the ball on a stick with the moon and adds that he seems to have no constraints, sets no boundaries on what he can do. And because he is magical and doesn't set such limitations on himself, he is able to walk on air or water or through the hills, all with the moon nicely balanced, both on his stick and in the sky. Our young Oginus must learn to care for himself. No one is looking over his shoulder to see that he does his work right and eats properly. Oginus may take chances and even make mistakes sometimes, as we all do, but this is how we learn. He is now confronting and being confronted by the real world. Here he will discover that excuses don't buy bread and that the quality and integrity of one's work and actions are what counts. But he has been well taught and pretty well knows this already. Don't tell him I told you, but Oginus sometimes wears a false mustache, hoping that it makes him look more mature. He has romantic dreams of being a great hero, of becoming the supreme master of his craft, and of winning a fairy princess. Some of these dreams will come true, perhaps even all of them. Here we see an innocent being walking trustfully into a situation for which he is not fully prepared, and indeed cannot be fully prepared, or for which his preparation is as yet untested by reality. He is innocent of previous practical experience of the path. He is now treading the realm of life into which he is moving. This card could be called Innocence Encounters Reality, which is by no means a bad thing. His fairy godmother is lurking somewhere just out of sight, as fairy godmothers tend to do. Her expression is both gleeful and worried. Her hair is already whiter than it was before he began, and she is keeping her wand fully charged at all times. Although this is his journey, he must undertake it himself. Almost everyone needs and is given a little fairy godmothering from time to time. Good-natured innocence attracts fairy guardians. It attracts helpful beings on all planes and in all worlds. It may also attract those who would abuse that innocence, but as long as our intentions are good, our guardians will offer good guidance. We are blessed and cared for if we allow ourselves to be. The world is before Oginus with smiles and teeth. Oginus has optimism, cheerfulness, magic skills, and a diligent fairy godmother. Oginus grows within us when we step bravely into the unknown, developing our potentials with hope and optimism and an open heart. Adventure, independence, travel, a long path ahead, we hope. This card speaks to the need to perfect skills in working and living, but it acknowledges having a sound grounding in the basics. Optimistic, innocent, and willing to learn, Oginus also shows us that intuition serves us well, but only if we pay attention to it. Sometimes we are operating from theory alone, and our knowledge may or may not be well grounded in reality. This card does not necessarily refer to exclusive beginnings. It can also signify a progression along a path moving into the unknown from the known, a new phase in an ongoing process. The card may also represent untested concepts or ideas and suggests a need for balance between the intuitive and the rational as one approaches the unknown. Consider where you are going. What is your long-term goals? What are you doing that is helping you to move toward them? All good questions, to be honest with you, to ask of oneself. So now we have our Rumi card. I want to thank everyone for being here. If you are not already subscribed, would love to have you join the channel as a subscriber. So if you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified when I do go live or upload videos. I'm really hoping that this new year will be the year so that we can, really launch some more conversations. So if you are interested in coming and having a conscious conversation with me, whether it's recorded or not, although would really love to be able to share these sorts of recordings with others because quite frankly, I have had years of conversations that a lot of folks told me were very helpful for them to just sit in on the conversation. um, so, I love to share them myself. Okay, I grabbed the wrong book. That's interesting. Must be, oh, okay. Apparently, the Sacred Forest actually wants a card to be pulled too. Okay, so from the Rumi deck, we have card number 5. I surge upon the wave, the uprising wave of love. Because I really do, I personally feel that uprising wave of love. Don't you? Comment if you feel like that's like you feel more of that in the collective, because I sure do. So, my life can be summed up in 3 accounts. I was raw, I was cooked, and I was burned. Rumi. I surge on the uprising wave of love. No gravity can stop me from rising. The moon pulls the tide of life towards her, and my soul, in oneness with all of life, answers her call. A wave of love consumes me, and upwards I fly, flying through water to greet her shining body. Led by my heart, my wits are addled, and my mind becomes a blurry mess. And so I feel instead, I feel the truth of her love and the divine reflection she shines back at me from her radiant heart. Greater forces of planetary movements affect us all. We experience day and night through the interplay of the earth, sun, and moon. This is a profound and obvious effect. The movement of the cosmos affect us deeply, body and soul. Some movements are perhaps less obvious in form, but are just as great, if not more so, in effect upon our spiritual growth and life experiences. You are going through a cycle, or very soon will be, by which you will be moved by forces greater than your own personal will. I feel like that is actually happening now to all of us in many ways, which is another reason why being in touch with one's internal guidance is the best that you could do. This is a karmic period, a time during which the movements of greater planetary bodies will have an impact upon the earth and humanity. This is the way of things, greater cycles affecting smaller ones. The smaller ones are not less important, but they do have to bow to the power of the great in oneness with the magnificent unfolding divinity that is life itself. What we always have at our disposal is choice as to how we respond to these affecting movements and cycles. The effect of this karmic cycle now unfolding in your life is to bring you into sweet surrender and awakening into greater love. What a delicious divine destiny. However, even if we sense at one level that a shift has a positive end in store for us, We can encounter resistance and fear born of the ego and jihabya, to be honest, in response to the stirring of spiritual uprising. We may quake in our holy body and wonder if everything is getting out of control and into some disorder. We will be right in our sense of imminent chaos. The disorder, however, is the ego perspective because its range of vision is too small, too limited to comprehend the greater workings of the planetary systems that move life toward love. That is as it should be. The teacup is not made to hold the entire ocean, just actually a cup of tea. But if we begin to imagine that the cup of tea is preferable to the ocean simply because it is more containable, how much we miss out on. That's true. And how terrifying when we are actually thrown into the ocean and moved by it. Its sheer power, its wild force, and its passionate dance with the moon mother might have us fearing that we most certainly will die. Yet the only thing that is dying here and now is your grasp, your attempts at control. I really do feel like that's actually a thing on the planet. That sort of thing is no longer supported. Power over other is no longer supported. Doesn't mean that it's not happening because it is still. In some cases, it is a choice that people are making. However, it's not supported. I really truly am being shown where those attempts at control and power over others seems to be outing itself in many, many ways. Why is this so? I'm going to back that up and say the only thing that is dying here and now is your grasp, your attempts at control. Why? Because your heart is more powerful than your fear, and it wants to live in total trusting surrender of the unfoldment of life's genius. It wants to let life happen. What a wise intention that is. Why seek to impose a smaller and less interesting story upon life when the great master storyteller is weaving a fantastic tale of great love, great adventure, and sublime spiritual success? No, it is wiser, wilder, and more fun to surf the great wave of consciousness seeking to overtake you now. Dive in, beloved, surge with it. You are being a gift of grace in this oracle, the promise that you won't drown and that you will, in fact, be given a glimpse of your own divinity should you choose to accept whatever will be offered to you. Don't try to swim against the tide of your own life journey. Go with it. The divine is there waiting for you, orchestrating waves upon which you may reach the heavenly shore. Yes, the divine is there waiting for you, waiting on a picnic blanket of fabric of the heavens, with a sacred feast of earthly bounty just now being unpacked in your honor. Get yourself into that ocean and ride those waves to your sacred date with the divine right now, sweet beloved. Surfs up. This oracle comes with a specific message. There are changes happening, and they will be out of your control. This is because you are ready for accelerated life change. Rather than paddling, you, you'll be caught up in a wave and moved farther, faster. Let yourself surge on with the energy of what is happening, leading with your heart and just going with whatever unfolds. This will bring you the best fortune and open you up to the divine destiny that is your birthright this lifetime. Again, for me, that's why it's so important to develop your own discernment, to hear your own inner voice, because that is the one voice, your soul, that portion of you, that higher, more expansive portion of you, and we all have it. It's all there. Believe you me, in the early days of Conscious Conversation Central, I bemoaned to Lisa and BZ that I was not connected. I didn't have a relationship with my inner. I'd never actually cultivated it. I never stopped to realize, oh, wait a minute. I, in particular, seem to be uber connected, so much so that I didn't even realize exactly how connected I was. And I suspect that that may be true for a lot of other folks as well. And it's only through a practice of slowing oneself down, finding a tool like these. That's what these are, by the way, for me. This is a tool in order for me to hear me. It is a method of focus and attention. And it may not be the same for you. Maybe there's a different, maybe there's a different method of focus and attention for you. Okay, so and isn't that doesn't that sound like what we have to do? We have to surrender to trust. Trust yourself and your decisions. Don't be swayed by other people's strong opinions about what to do. Take action and be confident that you have chosen the right path, even if it may end up feeling to you later that you made a mistake. It's never a mistake to surrender to trust of your higher, more expanded self. In my view, even if it looks like it's a mistake, I cannot tell you how many times I have labeled things as a mistake only to find later on that it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And it was not a mistake. It was exactly what had to happen in order for me to experience XYZ so that I would get something very important from that experience. And, again, your individual mileage is absolutely going to vary. And so no one can tell you about you better than you. Keep that in mind always, as far as I'm concerned. Because for one thing, they are on the outside looking in. You, however, are on the inside looking out. You know you better than anybody. Okay, so the last card for this reading is from the universe, and it says, things are about to get really juicy. I really do feel like that's a true statement. A little heads up on an addiction that affects us all really old souls. Giving love eventually becomes an even greater need than receiving love. See, you're not strange. Love the universe. Well, I think that's okay. So, first of all, things are about to get really juicy in many ways. And I like that. Now, it says a little heads up on an addiction that affects all really old souls. That's true, I think. Giving love eventually becomes an even greater need than receiving love. See, you're not strange. Love the universe. Wow. Okay, so this has been a really great reading as far as I'm concerned. Um, Now, last night during the intuitive hangout session, I was talking about the movie, right? And we only had one taker that showed up to view the movie. And I realized that I didn't give enough time for that. And I'm not going to start the book club until probably the first week or two into March, because we do have to move out of this place. And so there's a lot of stuff that has to be done to be able to do that. And if you are interested in seeing the movie that was made of this book, and please keep in mind, I have not read this book. I have seen the movie, and I now have that movie, and I can send you a link to the movie if you want to watch it and see if you're interested in joining this book club. I haven't decided on a day or a time, but if you find yourself drawn to want to read this in company, that's not going away and reading it and then coming back and discussing it. No, it's a 2 hour, once a week book club to read it together. We take turns reading, and because personally, when we do it in company, I get more out of the book, and the reports have been from other book club members that I belong to that Lisa started. We all get more out of a book when we do it in company, because you're exposed to each other's fields. What I know, you have access to. What you know, I have access to. And it just, I don't know, there's something about doing it in company. So if you want a link to the movie, reach out to me. And like I said, somebody said that last night that they wanted a link, and I thought I wrote down who it was, but I didn't. And so I think it might have been James um, Davis, but I'm not sure. It's either James or Mark. So if James or Mark, if you're here or if you see this later and it was you, please do reach out to me. I don't want to just send the link out to folks that aren't interested, because that doesn't make any sense. And so just let me know. I'm convinced that this author, while this is a work of fiction, I'm convinced that this author, this was a direct channel from source, I feel, just based on the movie. And books are always better than the movie. And it was written between the years of 89 to 91. And I feel as though, because there's an awful lot that's being depicted and talked about in the movie, that I feel like just the energetics of it, we are seeing now in reality all around us. And so I want to see where that goes. It's an entire set of books. So it's not just that book, that's just the first one. So if you're interested in doing that with us, let me know, because what happens is we gather together once a week, 2 hours. If something happens, you can't be there, we do record it. I don't share that outside the group. We record it because we're all together on Zoom when we do it. And that way, if something happens and you can't make it, after the book club is over and the video renders, I put it in I will be making a little messenger group for the book club, and that video goes in there as an unlisted video so that only those that are attending get access. So thank you guys for showing up, for participating. And as I said, Vanessa, if you're here, I would love to chat with you a little bit about the dream you had that you told us about last night, um, where I appeared in your dream. It was very interesting to me. I received a message this morning that the same thing has been going on with Lisa. Lisa apparently is being seen in folks' dreams. So very interesting. Apparently, we're very, very busy at night, which is spoken to by another book that's here on the channel that you can take a listen to, called A Soul's Journey. So very interesting what's going on in the fields right now. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you have found something here for you. Chances are, if you were drawn, then there is something here for you. Personally, I think it speaks to the entire collective, and it certainly speaks to me. So, if you have not subscribed to the channel, would love for you to do so. Like I said, hit that notification bell. I have been using the post. It's I think it appears as posts. It's something new YouTube started just a little while back. I haven't really started using that a lot, but that probably is something that I'm going to utilize a little more often in the coming year. Also, if you are interested in joining me for a conversation about your dreams, because quite frankly, for me, I think dreams are not at all what we've been told, what people think they are, because the body, it is the physical vessel that requires rest, not the divinity that resides within. That actually does not require rest. It's the physical body. And so I personally feel like the dream space is way more than what we've been led to believe. And I think by coming together and comparing our dreams, talking about our dreams, and sharing them on the internet, we learn so much more about the truth of who we are and what is actually happening. Now, the dream space, I don't think there's been any dream spaces on this channel, but you can see a couple of, I think, at least one or two on Sassy Seer Sheila, which is my standalone channel. I haven't been putting a lot of stuff over there because it's a little more awkward to do these. I'm no longer recording these live sessions. They take a lot of room on my computer, and I just am not able to get any more terabytes of storage. I cannot tell you, I have 3 or 4 uh, separate hard drives that have stored all the conscious conversations that we've had when it was Conscious Conversation Central. I had over 1,500 videos on Conscious Conversation Central when the powers that were and think they want to censor everybody took that channel down. So between that, Corona Rising, and Sassy Seer Sheila, and now New Light Streaming Love, there's just not enough room to hold it all. Unless you want to gift me a big terabyte, then okay, I'll start saving them again. So, thanks for showing up. I appreciate you all so much. I hope that you will move towards that which brings you joy in each moment that presents itself to you. It really is a matter of perspective and your perception of that perspective. So, until we meet again, my friends, be well.